everyone, how are you? Hello everyone, how are you? Hello everyone, how are you? How are you today? It's Monday, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed the long bank holiday weekend. Today you should have completed 3 bits of clearboard work and looked at this constant blend, which is quite good because you've probably seen lots of flags up of the Union Jack flag around outside people's windows in their front gardens. Today's constant blend is for flag. Have you finished your worksheet? Can you give me a big check? Well done. Today we're going to start a new book for this week, and we have read this one before in class, I think. It's called Dogger. Put your finger on your nose if you've heard this story before. Okay, so we've got Dogger, and our author is Shirley Hughes. Once there was a soft brown toy called Dogger. One of his ears pointed upwards and the other flopped over. His fur was worn in places because he was quite old, and he belonged to Dave. Dave was very fond of Dogger. He took him everywhere. Sometimes he gave him rides in a trolley. Sometimes he pulled him along on a lead made of string like a real dog. When it was cold, he wrapped him up in a bit of blanket. Now and again, Dave's mum said that Dogger was getting much too dirty. She showed Dave how to wash him in a bowl of soapy water. Then they hung him up by his tail on the washing line to dry. Can you see there? There's Dogger, hanging on the washing line. Dave's baby brother Joe liked hard toys. He liked putting them in his mouth and biting on them because he was getting his teeth. Dave's big sister Bella took 7 teddies to bed with her every night. She had to sleep right up against the wall to stop herself from falling out. But Dave only liked Dogger. There's Bella. There's barely any room in that bed, is there? 7 teddies. One afternoon, Dave and Mum set out to collect Bella from school. Mum took Joe in the pushchair and Dave took Dogger. Next to the school gate where the mums waited was a playing field. Some men with ladders were putting up coloured flags. Flags again? Mum said that there was going to be a summer fair to get money to buy things for the school. Dave pushed Dogger up against the railings to show him what was going on. Can you see? He's lifted Dogger up so he can get a better look. Just then, the children started to come out of school. An ice cream van came around the corner playing a tune. Bella ran up with her satchel flying. "Mum, can we have an ice cream?" Mum gave her the money for 2 cones. Joe didn't have a whole ice cream to himself. He was much too dribbly. On the way home, Dave walked beside the pushchair giving Joe licks of his ice cream. Joe kicked his feet about and shouted for more in between licks. At tea time, Dave was rather quiet. In the bath he was even quieter. And at bedtime he said, "I want Dogger." But Dogger was nowhere to be found. Mum looked under the bed. There's Mum and Dave there, looking under the bed. She looked behind the cupboard. She searched in the kitchen. And underneath the stairs. Dave watched anxiously through the banisters. Joe watched through the bars of his cot. Have you got a teddy or a blanket or anything that you take to bed with you? Would you be able to sleep if you didn't have it with you? Can you see there? That's Dad with a torch, searching in the garden, and Dave upstairs, the bedroom window. Mum and Bella. Bella joined in to look for Dogger. She turned out her own toy box in case he was in there, but he wasn't. When Dad came home, he looked for Dogger too. He searched in the shed and down the garden path with a torch. But Dogger was quite lost. Dave was very sad when he went to bed. Bella kindly lent him one of her teddies to go to sleep with, but it was not the same as Dogger. Dave kept waking up in the night and missing him. Would you be able to sleep without your special toy in bed? The next day was Saturday, and they all went to the school summer fair. The playing field was full of stalls and sideshows. There's lots of things to buy there, lots of games to play. There was a fancy dress parade. Look at all of those children dressed up. There were sports with an egg and spoon race. Those children have got spoons carrying eggs on them, but it's quite tricky because you might drop them. A wheelbarrow race and a father's race. Bella was very good at races. She won the three-legged race with her friend Barbara. Wouldn't you like to go in for a race? They asked Dave. But Dave didn't feel like racing. He was missing Dogger too much. Then another exciting thing happened to Bella. She won first prize in the raffle. It was a huge yellow teddy bear wearing a beautiful silk bow. He was almost as big as Dave. Dave didn't like that teddy at all. At that moment he didn't like Bella much either because she kept winning things. He went off on his own to look at the stalls. He really does look sad. He's going to look at the stall and it says here, toys. So he's looking at all of the toys for sale. One lady had a toy stall full of knitted ducks and cars and baby dolls in bonnets. And there at the very back of the stall, behind a lot of other toys, was Dogger. So there's a doll, a car. They've all got numbers on them. And the one on Dogger says 5p. 5. That means Dogger is on sale for 5 pence. What if somebody buys him? He was wearing a ticket saying 5p. There were lots of people around the stall. Dave tried to explain to the lady that it was his Dogger who had got lost and somehow been put on the stall by mistake. But she wasn't listening. He looked in his pocket. He had 3p, but that wasn't enough. He ran to find Mum and Dad and to ask them to buy Dogger back at once. Dave went everywhere in the crowd, but he couldn't see Mum and Dad. He thought he was going to cry, and at last he found Bella by the cakes. When she heard about Dogger, she and Dave ran back to the toy store as fast as they could. But something terrible had happened. Dogger had just been bought by a little girl. She was already walking away with him, and Dave began to cry. Bella ran after her and tried to explain. Dogger really belonged to Dave, and could they please have him back? But the little girl said, no. She said that she had bought Dogger with her own money and she wanted him. And she held him very tightly. Dave cried and cried. The little girl started to cry too. But out of the corner of her eye she caught sight of Bella's big yellow teddy. She stopped crying and she put out her hand to stroke his beautiful blue silk bow. Look at Dave's face. Oh. Then Bella did something very, very kind. Would you swap this teddy for my brother's dog then? She asked. Right away the little girl stopped crying and began to smile. She held out Dogger to Dave, took the big teddy instead and went off with him in her arms. Then Dave smiled too. He hugged Dogger and he hugged Bella around the waist. Thank you, Bella, he said. What a lovely big sister she is. That night Dave had Dogger in bed beside him. Bella was practising somersaults. Shall you miss that big teddy? Dave asked her. No, said Bella. I didn't like him very much really. He was too big and his eyes were too staring. And anyway, if I had another teddy in my bed, there wouldn't be room for me. That's the end of the story. There's Dave snuggled up with just Dogger. He's sleeping peacefully now. And there's Bella with her 7 teddies. Today we're going to write a sentence about our favourite toy. Okay, so I'm going to start you off with your work today. It's quite similar to what we did on Friday, so if you didn't all get time to do it on Friday because you were celebrating the bank holiday, we're going to go over something very similar today. Some of you might already know how to do it by yourselves. I'm going to start you off with your work, and then I'm going to look for Bagpuss, wherever he is. Okay, so my favourite toy that I'm going to write about, and the sentence is going to be, I like this toy because... I'll show you the toy. This is my favourite toy. It's a lightsaber from Star Wars. Some of you have seen this before, haven't you? Some of you have played with this at after school club. Okay, and I like it because it has really cool lights, and if you wave it around, it makes lightsaber noises. My brother's got one too, a red one. Sometimes we pretend to play fight with them. I always win. So I'm going to write about my lightsaber. I like my lightsaber because... Think about your favourite toy. What is it? Pardon? Wow, you've got lots of cool stuff, guys. I like my toy because... Why do you like it? We're going to write those down. Okay, so my first job is to draw a picture of me and my cool toy. Have a look at this. There's me with my lightsaber, and at the top here it says my favourite toy. So I've drawn a picture of me and my favourite toy. Now that's going to be your first job, to draw that picture of you and your favourite toy. And now I'm going to write my sentence underneath. Okay, so my picture's at the top there. I'm going to move that up so I can write my sentence, and my green dots are ready there. Let me just turn that around so you can see. My green dots are ready for me, and you've got the same piece of paper in your folders. Actually, if we're writing about our favourite things, I'm going to write in my favourite colour. I'm going to change my ink to blue. You should do the same. The only tricky thing is if your favourite colour is yellow, it's quite difficult to see on the white paper. I like. We did this in our books on Friday for, what were we writing about? I like farm animals, that's what we were writing about. So and look at this picture on your red word wall. I like. Can you find like on your red word chart? I like. 2 fingers. Like. I like my. My is another red word. On Friday and today, we need to use lots of red words, don't we? So we can double check the spellings of them. My. Do you remember the picture where I'm pulling the toy with my brother? We're both saying, my toy, my toy. Can you have a look and find that on your red word chart? I like my, so 2 fingers. My. Down, give it a curl. I like my lightsaber. It's called a lightsaber. I'm just going to move you back a bit so you can see my whole board there. I like my lightsaber. I don't think I'll have room here for lightsaber, so I'm going to go down, miss a line, and go to the green dot. Lightsaber. This is quite a long word. So because it's a long word, I'm going to chop it up. It's lightsaber, 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 lightsaber. The first click, light. I'll write light first. Light. What's the first sound you can hear in light? Thank you. Light. Use your robot arms for light. I. What does I look? Is it this I? No, because it's in the middle of a word. It's in a word, so it's the I fly high. This one is always by itself. I fly high. That's a trigraph. I can never write this one. Oh, I know. It's the one that if you sound it out and you don't say I, it sounds silly because it sounds like igh, which doesn't make any sense. I. That's a trigraph. Light. What's the last sound in our word? We've got Use your rainbow to find out the last sound. Light. Light. Another reach for the sky letter there. I like my lightsaber. So lightsaber is a one word. Light, we've done that. Light, say. Remember, because it's a long word and it's all one word, I don't need finger spaces, it's all one long word. Say, like say, A, may I play? It's lucky I moved down to the next line because this is a very long word. Light, say, light, say, lightsaber, oh, b. Does b go up or does b go over? Does it go up the boots or over the dinosaur? Oh, it must be b for boot. Boot. Go along a bit, reach for the sky, down the laces to the heel, back up, around the toe, don't forget the skateboard. Lightsaber, whirl and twirl, Look how long that word is. I could never have drawn that on, I could never have written that on my own without you, thank you. Lightsaber. I like my lightsaber because, find because on your red word chart, because it's got the arrows pointing around in a circle to extend your sentence. Because, all right, because down here. Another b around the toe. Because. Use your word chart to copy this one. It's really, really tricky. We've picked some really long words for a Monday morning, haven't we? I like my lightsaber because it glows. It glows. Two fingers. It. I like my lightsaber because it. The reason I like it when it glows is because sometimes if it's the middle of the night and I'm a bit frightened and it's dark in my room, sometimes this happens. It's a bit dark sometimes, and if I get scared in the night, I just do this. And I can see all around my room. It's like a torch. And that's why this is my favourite toy. I like my lightsaber because it glows. So, because it glows. So, two fingers, glows. G-O, G-O. G. Round the girl's head, down her long hair, give her a curl. Start at the line, reach for the sky, down the long leg. Gl-O, O. Can you show me the action for O? I can't remember how to... Ah, that's it. O. Thanks. O. O, blow the snow, because it glows. Full stop. Okay, can we read that together? When you'll finish your sentences now, because you're getting better at them, Before you show your parents that you finish, you must just read it back to double check. If it helps you, you can choose a different colour pen at the end and then just go under your words. Shall I show you how I do it? So I've chosen green, that's my second favourite colour. I like my, big long word, lightsaber because it glows. I like my lightsaber because it glows. What's your favourite toy? And why do you like it so much? Can you try to do really neat, beautiful cursive writing today? Really, really try for a Monday.